Narcissists don't ever want you to lose hope that you can somehow make it work with them. Narcissists know that when they're in a relationship with somebody, generally a romantic relationship, but it can also be in other settings, they know that they don't treat the person very well and that the person is constantly feeling frustrated, displeased, unfulfilled. But the narcissist, by giving the person crumbs of affection, crumbs of good treatment, crumbs of reliability, even though for the most part they're not reliable, they're not affectionate, they're not attentive. Because they give those good things in small doses, they keep the hope alive in the target. So narcissists will treat the target as bad as they can, except they'll try not to go too far, such as to push the person away altogether. They want to keep the person hanging in there in the hope that things will get better. In the meantime, that person will try to please the narcissist. If it's the case that things were initially good when they first met and the love bombing, maybe it was years, months, maybe even decades ago, the target will try to bring back those good times, because when the narcissist breadcrumbs you, when they give you crumbs of the good stuff, it reminds you of the good old days when the narcissist was that fabulous person that they pretended to be at the beginning, but which slowly would have faded away, and their true colors and what's behind the mask would have shown itself with more consistency. But because they breadcrumb, they keep the hope value alive, and the target just doesn't feel they want to throw in the towel altogether, because they feel that there's a chance they can bring back the the fairy tale version of the narcissist, but they're just not playing their cards right. They're not quite hitting the spot to bring out that persona. And that's what narcissists want. They want you to keep trying as hard as you can. They want you to keep applying yourself as hard as you can to please them, to to not abandon them, to, to stay within their orbit. Because it's only by you thinking there's something great there for you, but you can only acquire it, you can only grasp it if you try really hard and please them in all the right ways, that the narcissist gets the best supply from the target, because the target is devoting every ounce of their being, every fiber of their body is devoted to trying to please the narcissist, to bring out the version of them that is the great person they once knew. But that version of the narcissist isn't real. It never was real. It was always a charade, and that version will never come about again. But the narcissist wants the person to think that they can still have that. So narcissists don't want you to give up on them. They don't want you to give up on the relationship, but they want to give you as little as possible for you to stick around. Everything the narcissist does is to corner you, put you in that position where they give you as little as possible, but you give them your everything. That's the balance they want. That's the type of interaction that they see as fulfilling. Of course, it's not fair on you. It's fair on them as far as they're concerned, because they're getting their needs met. But obviously, you don't really count. That's the problem. So, if there's one thing that narcissists do, is they try to give you just enough hope so that you try to make it work with them. And when you're about to give up, when you're coming to your senses, realizing that this is never going to work, you've had enough, then they'll give you another cycle of the love bombing. It won't be it won't be quite as intense as it was the first time you met them, but it'll be somewhat close and quite reminiscent of that. And then any thought you had of leaving them, you think, no, I'm not going to leave them. This is the version that I've been trying to get for the past many months or years. I'm going to stick around now. But then as soon as they see that you've made the decision not to leave them, they revert back to their old self. So that's the game they play. It's not really a game as such, in a sense that they don't plan it like a game, but it is a game because it's the way they deceive people. Whereas you think they're coming across as someone honest and wholesome, they're being deceiving. So it's a game in that sense. Although they don't see it as a game, that's just who they are. That's just the way they carry themselves. They never want you to stop trying to make it work with them. They want you to continue believing that if you stick with them, someday something very great will come out of that. And if they can get you to believe those things, and if they can weaken your sense of self-respect and self-worth sufficiently so that you see them as the better, stronger, more clear-minded person, and you fall short, if they manage to put you in that position, then they have you right where they want you, which is you give them basically your everything. You apply yourself fully to try to please them, satisfy them, keep them stable, you regulate them, whereas they give you very small doses, very few crumbs of positive things, and the rest is just you're their doormat. So, and if you try to have any other balance, if you try to sustain any other balance, it just doesn't work. Either they'll discard you, or you'll end up being pushed away, being repelled because you can't make it work. And that's what you need. You need to come to your senses and realize that you can do better. You're not deserving of somebody who gives you next to nothing, but then you dedicate yourself fully to them. It just drains you, drains you, drains you, drains you. It doesn't matter who they are. If it's your spouse, if it's your child, if it's your parent, it just doesn't matter who the person is. If you're in that kind of relationship, that kind of dynamic is toxic and it's time to sign out.